What's going on, everybody? I'm Jerry, and today I got my week 2 predictions. I did just film a week 1 recap video. I filmed it twice now. The first time I filmed it, it was like an hour. This time it was like an hour again, and for some reason I can't get it to post. I don't know if I changed something about my setup. So if you don't see that video out, I do intend on having week 1 recap videos and then week 2 predictions moving forward. So I'm going to try to get that out and see what I can do there. I just don't know what's going on. So anyway, we're going to do our predictions, go through each game. I'll give you my reasoning for why I think each team is going to win, and we'll get right into it. So starting off, we have the Vikings and the Eagles. I picked the Eagles here. Vikings didn't look good week 1. You've got, Alexander Madison. I don't know if the Vikings are going to look for a running back, but it really isn't working with the whole Ty Chandler and Alexander Madison running game. And then Kirk Cousins still just kind of throws the ball to Justin Jefferson. I think Darius Slay is going to be able to at least contain Justin Jefferson a little bit. That could be a hot take just because it seems like Justin Jefferson finds receptions and finds yards in whatever way he does, and maybe that's part of the scheme. Maybe Kevin O'Connell is scheming up, make sure he doesn't have, or make sure he has better matchups. But I think the Eagles will win, although I think they struggled against the Patriots. I mentioned I tried to mention, we'll see if that video uploads in the recap video, that the Vikings defense actually looked good to me. Although they allowed the Buccaneers to score 20, it was partially because of the fumbles and the interception and the short fields that they were able to score in. But the Vikings run defense looked pretty good against Rachaad White, who, again, you don't know if he's a great running back. Probably not, but I'm taking the Eagles. The Vikings didn't look very good. Eagles, I also thought didn't look good. So this one, I think, is going to be closer than you think, especially looking at the matchup-wise. Like, Vikings defense played pretty good. The Eagles struggled against a defense that figured them out. And the Eagles' offense didn't look great. And the Vikings defense played well. And Kirk Cousins, as long as he doesn't make a couple mistakes, he wins that game against the Buccaneers. So going with the Eagles. Moving on to the next one, we got Packers-Falcons. I went back and forth on this so many times. I really want to move that helmet over to the Packers just because of, again, looking at the matchup. You look at who's got the better offensive line. You'd probably say the Packers, although the Falcons do have a good offensive line. Who has a better running game? Tough to tell so far, but you could make an argument that that's a wash. Who has the better receivers? Definitely, I would say the Falcons. But then you move over to the defense, and I think the Packers, I don't know, I think they could be better. I think that's why I ended up picking the Falcons in the end, is if you look at the individual matchups, you would say that the Falcons are better. They're going to be at home. So that's the main reason I picked the Falcons. We'll see what happens. This one's going to be another close game, in my opinion, though. Another game where I went back and forth. I could not pick. I ended up picking the Colts. I actually changed this one today. So when I made this graphic on Sunday, as if I'm some sort of graphic designer, I put a couple logos on a screen with a helmet. But when I made this, I had the Texans winning because I mentioned, well, again, we don't know if you're going to see that video, but I was talking about how the Texans, I thought their defense looked good. Despite being the first game of the year. Who'd they play? They played the Ravens. I thought they looked good. I thought they looked fine. And, rookie quarterback matchup here, who's going to do better? I thought Anthony Richardson did better. And I don't think that the play calling was great on the offense for the Texans. I wanted to see more running the ball. So if the Colts can get a run game going and can have the same success they had last week, I think it's got to be the Colts. I think they're the better team. I think on paper, or at least, knowing DeMeco Ryans and hoping that he can kind of have that Dan Campbell effect where, you played for the team that you're coaching for, and it adds passion. If he can try to bring that on to some of those guys and use his defensive knowledge to make that defense play better and scheme against Anthony Richardson, I think you see the Texans win this game. So if the Texans have a strong defense, I could see them winning. My pick is still going to be the Colts, though. And then the next game we have is dun, 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 dun. There she is. Seahawks Lions. I went back and forth because, again, Lions got the win, which you'd think it'd be tough to say that the Lions got an underwhelming win against the Chiefs, but I still thought it was. I didn't think their defense was great, and the Seahawks, their offense didn't play great, but I think they're going to want to play better. I ended up picking the Lions, gave the old Lion a little football helmet there, and I picked the Lions just because their team all around seems better. The Seahawks let up 30 points against the Rams, who we still don't know if they're good. They looked really good. And Stafford, I love Matt Stafford, big Matt Stafford fan. But the Seahawks defense in the second half looked like a big sieve. So that's why I picked the Lions. I think there was less big mistakes from the Lions. Jared Goff looked more comfortable, more content, stayed in the pocket. Their offensive line is definitely better. So I think with all those things, I think that's going to be an easy Lions victory. Next up, we got Chargers and Titans. And this is another one. I mean, so many of these games are back and forth. I don't think there's been a game yet. I picked the Chargers. That just popped up out of nowhere. I picked the Chargers. I can't really decide why. I think, Bosa's out too. That could be a deciding factor. I don't know if maybe I'm picking that because I'm hoping that their run defense can be better. We don't know what the run defense is because they were playing the Dolphins, who didn't really need to run the ball to win the game. So if the Chargers can't shut down Derrick Henry, and which I would assume he's going to get the ball with how poorly Ryan Tannehill played, and with how poor the Chargers defense played, I would assume that he's going to get a lot of carries unless the run game's good and they have to rely on. I think that's kind of the other deeper reason as to why I picked the Chargers. If the Titans have to rely on Ryan Tannehill to win the game for them, that is going to be tough, and I think the Chargers win every time. I still think their defense can be good. I think Kellen Moore is doing good things on offense. Their run game was very strong. Arden Key was a bright piece for the Titans. Got some nice pass rush, but I think the Chargers win this game, but I do think it's going to be a close one. Next up, we have Raiders-Bills, and I went back and forth on this one too because the Raiders just beat the Broncos. I don't think the Broncos are a bad team, but the Raiders looked fairly comfortable, and they looked like they could do it. And if they can just rely on, if Josh Allen makes mistakes again, would you say that a Zach Wilson-led Jets team is better than the Raiders? I don't know. I mean, they have a lot of talent, and I guess they have a better defense, but the Bills also lost to the Jets, and you can't make all your comparisons. Oh, this team lost to this team, so this team's better. But again, I've got to think the Bills are going to win. I've got to, Josh Allen is pissed at himself for kind of blowing that game last week, and I think he's going to want to be better. And I think he's got an easier defense to play against. Maybe not Max Crosby, but I think he's got a little bit easier defense to play against there in the Raiders, and I think that gives him an opportunity to win this game for him. Next one, I also mentioned this in the video that we'll see if it's up. I think the Bengals are coming out with a vengeance, pissed about last week and how that went, and I think the Baltimore Ravens are very injured and missing Ronnie Staley, missing Tyler Linderbaum, missing Marlon Humphrey, missing J.K. Dobbins. Mark Andrews was out last week. Looks like he'll be back. I don't think Mark Andrews, missing all those other people, I don't think Mark Andrews is going to be enough to put the Ravens ahead. And I think they're going to kind of be humbled over their double-digit win over the Texans last week. So, yeah, Bengals are going to take that one. I think that's a fairly easy pick. This is crazy. I went back and forth. I had the Chiefs earlier today. Again, I made this graphic on Sunday because I'm this genius graphic designer as I put the helmet on the nose of the Jaguar there. But yeah, I had the Chiefs, and then I went, you know what? I know they probably have Travis Kelce back, and I know they probably have Chris Jones back. And I was going to put in the video, I was going to kind of put the helmet in the middle, favoring the Jaguars, and do a what if. Well, like, if Kelce's on the Chiefs, I'll I'll pick the Chiefs. But if Kelsey doesn't play, I'm taking the Jaguars. And I really don't want to do that. I'm going to pick the Jaguars. I thought their offense looked super promising, and the Chiefs' defense didn't look very good. And I don't think that the Lions are going to be this amazing team. And I think the Jaguars looked really good. So that's why I picked the Jaguars. Another one could be a very close game, and I very well could be. I know that I could be wrong about this one. Definitely kind of picking the underdog there, but that's my pick. This one, I changed it. I changed this one today too. I literally went through and I changed a bunch of them. You see, I picked the Buccaneers here. I had the Bears. This was another one where I just kind of did matchups. I think if you don't get any pressure on Baker Mayfield, I think he's just going to be able to sit back there and throw the ball. And when that man has confidence, he does throw the ball better. So if they start getting that going, the Bears didn't look good as far as their run defense goes. So if Rachaad White, even though he's not a great running back, if he gets going, they're going to be in a lot of trouble because they're going to have to prepare for the run game. I think you might be able to rely on Baker Mayfield throwing an interception or two, but you could say the same thing about Justin Fields. I think it's still going to take them some time. They've had some injuries. Tevin Jenkins is out the beginning of the season, so that offensive line still isn't going to be fully healthy for at least the first 4 weeks, and I think it's probably more. And then the big additions on defense were really just the linebackers and Yannick Ngakoue, and unfortunately, I don't see that being enough to beat the Buccaneers. I hate to say it, and I really think that if the Bears are even going to have an 8-9 win season, I think they're going to have to win this game because you got the Chiefs next week. So if you can go and win this game, at least build some kind of momentum, that's going to help a lot. But I unfortunately think the Buccaneers are going to. I hate to pick against my Bears, but I think the Buccaneers are going to take that one. Next up, we have the 49ers and the Rams. I think this is going to be a game where we'll see what the Rams really are because you're going up against arguably the best team in the NFL right now in the 49ers. And if the Rams come out and are able to play offense like they did, the big part of their offense was Stafford throwing the ball downfield to these young receivers that nobody's heard of. Doesn't sound like Cooper Kupp's going to be back, but could be, I guess, right? I don't think he's on IR or anything, so... And even if he's not, the receivers there look good. Kyron Williams looked good. I just don't think they're going to be able to play the same way as they did against the Seahawks last week. So picking the 49ers there seems like a safe pick. I think the Giants, I think Brian Dable is pissed. I watched his interview, and he was just besides himself. He was just pissed at how that game went. So I think he's going to be able to come back. Still don't think the Cardinals are good. Josh Dobbs is still your quarterback. James Conner ran the ball fine, but this is going to be a bounce-back game for the Giants and probably what they're going to need with how that first week went. So they're going to take down the Cardinals. I have the Cardinals losing a lot of games. I think underrated and probably a hot take, but I think the Cardinals are going to have a good game this week. I think it's going to be a close game again. I think the Cardinals are probably going to do what the Bears did a lot of last year, where is keep the game close and lose and tank for Caleb Williams just so he can stay another year so he doesn't have to be with that sorry-ass franchise. If Rodgers is in, to be honest, I still think I'm going to pick the Cowboys. Just because of that pass rush, man. That pass rush was nuts, and the Jets' offensive line did not look good at all, even against the Bills' pass rush that was without Von Miller. So, I think even if you just look at that matchup, at how dominant the Cowboys' defense is, you've got probably one of the best pass rushes in the game. And then the cornerbacks are Stephon Gilmore and Trevon Diggs, which I don't think Trevon Diggs is great. But if you have Gilly Lock, that can lock down wide receiver one, you've got Trevon Diggs who can just fly around and get interceptions and make plays and force fumbles like he did last week. So with Garrett Wilson being in, I think it's going to be an even tougher game. And you can only run the ball with Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook so much and throw little dinks and dunks to Garrett Wilson. That's got to be the Cowboys for me. Commanders, Broncos, find a game that's not close. All these games are going to be so close. I'm picking the Broncos just because of how rough the Commanders looked, really. And they both looked rough. And this is probably, these two teams are two of the teams where going into week 3, I still don't know if you learn much because we don't know what the Raiders are. We don't know what the Cardinals are. And we don't know what these teams are either. And now they're playing each other. So we don't know if any of these teams are any good. They could all be shit. And all the games are just close because they're all shit. Like when the Commanders played the Bears last year on Thursday night and won 12-7, and one of the shittiest football games to ever be on a primetime game. But that could happen again because although Sam Howell looked good in practice and preseason or training camp, it hasn't transferred over to the regular season yet. And so that's why I ended up picking the Broncos because their defense played pretty well. Despite letting the Raiders score 17, I think if the Broncos can just do a little bit better than last week, they're going to be able to beat the Commanders there. So that's why I picked them. Next up, we have this one. I put it as an easy pick, but I think it's just because I don't think the Patriots can cover Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I think it's going to be a repeat of last week, except for, and it could be a shootout. I mean, Mac Jones had the most pass attempts, and Tua had the most yards. So I think this could be another shootout, just like last week. I think Big Bill is going to scheme up a defense to try to contain him, but I don't think you can really contain Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So as long as Tua can get him the ball, the one scary part is the Patriots' pass rush looked really good. So this would be a nice test for the Dolphins' offensive line to see if they can hold the Patriots' pass rush and keep the pressure off of Tua, because that could be pivotal. That could cause a turnover for him. So I think the Patriots have the ability to stay close in this game, but I definitely think the Dolphins are going to win. This, I guess, is probably your only game where you could say, for me at least, that I don't think it's going to be close. I think that the Saints are absolutely going to dominate the Panthers. I don't think they're ready yet. I don't think their scheme was good, or their game plan. I don't think their defense played well. I don't think their offense played well. So I think because they have a long way to go, I think they could probably call a better game and make it closer. But I don't know what the spread is on this game. But if it's more than like a touchdown, I would probably take it, because I think the Saints will win by at least a touchdown in this game, and I would put money on that. So I think the Saints are taking that one. Browns Steelers, I picked the Browns. Put the helmet on the other helmet. I switched this one too. I had the Steelers. I was like, you know what? They're not going to be happy. Mike Tomlin's going to be pissed. Browns are going into Pittsburgh, but I did this with a bunch of them. I look at the matchup and I go, okay, well, I think the Browns' offensive line is going to be able to handle the Steelers' defensive line. Maybe not TJ Watt, but I think they'll be able to handle them enough. And I think the play calling was good enough last week to where they can scheme up to take TJ Watt out a little bit more than the 49ers did. And so I think you probably see a close game, of course, but I'm picking the Browns just because their run game was good, and Deshaun Watson actually did look good, even throwing in the rain. And the Steelers' defense didn't look very good, and Kenny Pickett wasn't really able to produce any offense. So even if Kenny Pickett picks it up, I just don't see them keeping up with the Browns, and I'm taking the Browns in that game. Is that it? I think that's it for this week. Yeah, wow, I just went through all of them. All right, nice job, Jerry. You made it through it. Okay, and you hopefully made it through this video. If you made it through this video, like, comment. I'm not very clever right now, so comment, made it through the video. That'd be cool, huh? And then, like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to start doing some other videos soon. I'm planning on doing some trivia. I love trivia, so I'm hoping to do some trivia videos. And I want to try to do power rankings. I've been having some problems with my setup here and trying to get these videos out. So I'm enjoying it. I hope you're enjoying it too. And have a great day. Thank you.